That's right, folks. I'm starting another Worldbuilding Showcase, quote, season, and there's nothing you can do about it except watch the video and comment and like or dislike and subscribe and buckle in, for I'm about to introduce to you the Universe of Elrys and the 7 fundamental forces that lie at its base. So, imagine our universe with its Milky Way, solar system, and Earth. If you can do that, you're 50% of the way to imagining the Universe of Elrys, because there are versions of the Milky Way, solar system, and Earth that are basically the same. On the surface, the laws of physics seem the same, but with a definitive list of 7 distinct fundamental forces instead of the 4 that science believes we have. That number can get complicated the higher up in energy levels you go, but there's no need to worry about that. That's for our universe, not this one. The 7 are attraction, which is just the first 3 of our 4 combined into 1. Gravitation, we've now covered all of our 4. Entropy, conversion, connection, tunneling, and consciousness. Important to note, these forces are instrumental to a series of novels I'm writing as we speak. Well, not literally, since I'm recording this video rather than writing a book, and you are not also talking, I think. So I'll do a basic overview of these forces in this episode, but their depths shall have to wait for when they appear in the books, unfortunately. I can't be having spoilers now, can I? Since they're shown extensively in the first book, I will be making 2 videos semi-soon for the forces of tunneling and gravitation, so stay tuned for those. But this video, this one here that you're watching right now, will be a wider view of them all, and mayhaps even hints of the lore going on around them. The forces of the Universe of Elrys are not just the basis for magic systems, but also for the workings of everything. That is chiefly why they are so powerful. Most people at the time of the first novel, Tunneling, only have control over one of the forces, but there are those who can manipulate all 7 at once. Even with little raw power, one such as them can perform feats vastly beyond what any of us normal humans can do. But I'm getting a little ahead of myself, and if I don't take a couple steps back, I will quickly cross over the border into the land of spoilers, and I don't want to do that until my books are out. I cannot tell you how people have access to the forces. For the purposes of this video, they simply are able to manipulate them. It's magic! Whee! I don't know if I'm going to include the wee in the video, we'll see.
Yes.
There are some answers I can provide, though. Each force constitutes its own magic system. Every human, with naturally some exceptions, who uses magic has the same amount of power to work with. It's just up to how skilled they are with that power and how far they're willing to push themselves. There are consequences, of course. You think there wouldn't be? Well, let's see you go, then. Go on, fly using gravitation. Yes, this is something you can do. Oh wow, that's really cool. Now fly 100 miles and tell me how you feel. There should be a burning deep in your chest that turns your breathing to sludge and spikes pain into your blood with every beat of your heart. That is the cost of what you do, a slow, insidious form of radiation that eats you from the inside. If you use magic too much at once, you may even die from it, so good luck. Oops. Important to know is that for all the magic systems, it's easiest to manipulate the forces within your own body, a good bit harder to mess with outside objects. Don't know why I said outside so weirdly. And the most difficult of all is performing magic on other people, especially those with the same abilities who are resisting your insidious manipulations. I'm assuming you're insidious, at least. Maybe you're good, I don't know. Maybe I should have more faith in you. I mean, if you're watching this video, you seem pretty cool, so... Anyways, okay, cool, but what can you do with magic exactly? On human energy scales, attraction is just electromagnetism. So think lightning and magneto-type stuff. Very flashy. You gotta be very careful with it, though, or you might just shock yourself. That's right. Just because you have electricity magic doesn't mean you're immune to electricity. so no shooting lightning bolts from your fingertips, but if you're careful, you can make lightning shoot from other things by increasing charge imbalances. If you couldn't tell, I like the little nitty-gritty details that make things tick. Gravity you have heard a little of so far, and it is quite simple relative to the other forces. You can make yourself weigh less or more, and you can rotate your weight in fun directions to allow yourself to fly. Also, anything you can do to yourself, you can do to objects and even other people, which is true for all the other forces as well, if you hadn't surmised that by now. For gravity, this means giant swords that are more blunt force than slicey. Swinging them still takes some energy. Making them weightless doesn't mean inertia disappears, but it makes it a lot easier to hold them up. The same thing is true for like construction and, many other things. You have to carry a lot of stuff in your life, so it makes a good bit of things easier. Conversion is another easy one to understand. It's basically just what people thought alchemy would become. Transmutation. Except it's real. It takes energy, but you can, in fact, turn water into gold if you so please. You might guess that this messes with the value of precious materials and the availability of food, and you would be correct. That's as far as I'll go into that. You might have to wait a few years before I say any more, but, the books are getting written, I swear. Entropy is a tricky one. You may recognize it from some flavor of physics course, probably thermodynamics, and you might know it as some form of time-related thing, or more correctly, a disorder-related thing. Quick science lesson. Entropy is a measure of the disorder in a system, and so using entropy as the name of the force might be a bit of a misrepresentation, since what exists in the universe of Elrys is more a force that controls disorder, its creation, and its flow. Notable abilities to do with entropy magic are healing wounds, rotting/aging things, and the reverse. Not true de-aging, mind you, but practical de-aging. This force does not allow for time travel, unfortunately. Sorry about that. Or maybe you're welcome for that. And preventing yourself from aging. So, congratulations! You get to live forever! Yay! I mean, it's a tad bit more complicated than that, but, it's practically forever living. Nothing flashy, but still incredibly useful, and perhaps more so than any of the previous forces. Connection and consciousness are what I consider the most powerful forces of the seven, and so naturally, I give them a lot of importance in the story I mean to write. That is to say, I won't be telling you anything about those two at this moment. Sorry about that. Heavy spoilers. I need some mystery here, okay? But you might notice that only amounts to 6 forces. The last one is tunneling. What might be the one I've thought of the most, mainly because it is the focus of the first book, fittingly titled Tunneling. Yes, all 5 of the books in the first series are going to have forces as their titles, but that's a tale for another time. What matters right this second is tunneling. It'll be the focus of the first in-depth magic video in the universe of Elrys, but here's a taste of it. At its surface, it is teleportation, and practically that is really all you can usefully do with it. But there's a lot more to it than that. If you've ever been exposed to quantum mechanics, you may be familiar with quantum tunneling, where a particle seems to spontaneously teleport through a barrier. Very intriguing of it. To skip a whole lot of complex equations that I admittedly do not really know that much about, this has to do with a particle's wave function, and the fact that when observed, it has a non-zero probability to appear on the other side of previously mentioned barrier. And so sometimes that's exactly what happens when you do observe it. The concept behind tunneling as a magic system is that you have a wave function. Yes, you! And you can manipulate it. The first step is making yourself immaterial, sort of like a pure wave function state, though that's also probably very much not an accurate way of describing it in real physics, but this is also my universe, so I can do whatever the fuck I want with it. And then you change your wave function so that there's a near 100% chance that you appear where you want to go. To do so, you have to have a really good mental image of the place, and the farther it is, the higher the probability you won't appear exactly where you want to go. So you have to be kind of careful with it. If you're going into a place with a lot of enemies, you might want to think real hard about where you want to go. For instance, if you try to tunnel from New York to the Eiffel Tower, there's a good chance you'll pop up somewhere random in a 1-mile radius of the tower, even if you have a near-perfect image of it. So yeah, be careful with it. But before I continue, this won't take very long, don't worry. This video is sponsored by me. That's right. As a creative who's spending a lot of their time working on writing and making YouTube videos, I don't have a whole lot of money, and so it is to my chagrin that I must pause the video to advertise myself. I recently made a Ko-Fi page, not quite sure how to pronounce that, link in the description. So if you like my stuff and want to support me, that is the current avenue to do that. I don't drink coffee, but if you want to buy me a coffee substitute, I would be very thankful. I'm also going to be putting stuff like notes, author commentaries, and more there as well, so stay tuned. And back to the video. I shall leave the rest for a future video, though. There are a lot more details that I could go into with that. After the tunneling video will be one covering gravity, for that force also features heavily in the first book. And then after that, I don't know, it could be anything. I probably should plan that far, but I just don't, okay? It's not how I do things. The future storm is vast and holds many mysteries. But until then, I am still working on the Voltana map project. I'm still writing my book. I'm a little over halfway through the second draft, so hopefully by the end of the year I'll have something publishable. And I hope you're having a good day. Yay! Why did I type yay in the script? Thank you for watching this far. If you did, then tag yourself as one of the forces in the comments. I'm very curious to see what people choose. I'm probably gravity, though I'll have to think about it a little bit. So until the next video, fare thee well.